Well, before you didn't see us, but I'm on my computer. So hey, this is your part two. Um, we're gonna talk now. We're gonna talk about the children and how it affects society and our neighbors and everyone around us, everybody that's close to us, how it affects society as a whole. Now, interview number one, we talked about children in the womb, if we could detect mental illnesses, if if your child was born with mental illness, society, what did your child need to learn as far as being on the same level as their peers in society. So now we're going to see how our children, how the and how the decisions that we make for our children impacts them or society as a whole. Now, we all met Renee with her four children. Now she has two children that are older than mine, one that's at the same age and one that's lower. One younger, sorry, not lower. He's two, sorry, younger. Um, and so we're just going to talk about how our children impact society as a whole. Um, as I said in interview number one, my son receives services. So, um, yeah, so I guess my question now is, which I should now, there was, and I'm going to tie it all together. I read an interesting article and an interesting news piece. It was a couple of years ago. This couple, they had one child. They can't have any more children. And she got really sick and she was mentally impaired. So what they did was they artificially assimilated her so she could have children. Now there was a lot of controversy behind that. A lot of people in society felt that because she was mentally impaired, they had no right to artificially assimilate her and to force her to have a child against her right because she didn't understand what was going on. But parents felt that that was their only child and she's going to die soon, and we won't have anything to remember her
Where
by.
was the husband? Did the husband have any input,
The
or
mother and father had input.
no? Her husband.
The mentally no, they artificially assimilated it. I mean, they went to a sperm bank and shot up with the sperm.
Why they just didn't take her eggs out? And there were so many other options they could have used.
But I know when I read about the article and they started interviewing people in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And when I asked a couple of people, because I did
Mm.
ask Victor this question as well,
Mm.
they all told me the same thing, like that was wrong.
Yeah,
So
it
in
was.
society now, well, let's take it back now. But if in India, if I would say it's the same thing as an arranged marriage. Like in India, they the parents pick your husband
They're
and you're
still
married to
trying to
him.
have this to this day.
They do. I know a woman that does. And
A couple of different
I actually met
societies.
I actually met a woman I used to work with. She actually left, and her husband was showing her. She's in an arranged marriage, and
Mhm.
she's very happy. Sometimes it works out with that,
Yeah, well, sometimes it
but
works out for the best, but you can't
but
always predict these things.
my question is, why do we dictate our lives based on what society wants us to do?
Well, what I realized too about other cultures, sometimes they try to keep their original um, cultural habitats alive through the different religions and the beliefs and that they have, and they try to continue it on to this day. But what they don't realize is that when they come to different societies, because I had a friend too, she was Muslim, and her arranged marriage just didn't go so well. Her husband was abusive and controlling. But when they came to America, she got away
Hmm.
and she got to start her life over. She took the kids and everything. But that goes to show you, like, what's good in whatever country, away, far away country, is different circumstances when they come here. So, in order for them to keep that culture of their that aspect of their culture alive, they have to keep it over there. There's no way they can bring it here and think it'll survive.
So I'm just bringing it back. I just wanted to get that. I'm gonna tie it all together right now. So do
Mm-hmm.
you think that society has the right to tell you what your child should or should not know? Like as far as take it back to the Common Core and what your child to know. If your child doesn't learn this way, if your child doesn't do math this way, they cannot pass.
If you think about it, too, it's all kind of a form of dictatorship
Mm.
to a certain extent. So, as we are all in this so-called free nation, it's still being dictated over a rulership of you can't and cannot do,
Mm.
of what you have to be done and how it has to be done. You can't. There is no such thing. They give the illusion of free will. It really is an illusion because how it affects all of us as society of people. The rich are just gonna get richer and stay in their circle of group. You don't see a rich person go from rich to poor. You don't see that. That just doesn't happen unless they're into criminal activities or they're not playing by the society's rules and now they have to be cast out.
Mm.
That's the only way.
Mm.
So they're going to stay in their circle and they're just going to get richer and go on, continue with their legacies and legis- legacies and how they want to abide by that. But we, as the poor people, because there is no more middle class.
Yeah, I call us the working poor.
Yeah, exactly. Middle class has been kicked out about 2 years ago, and a lot of people still haven't realized it until minimum wage got the little raise, and then they was like, hey, we're on the same level as these people now, so there's no middle class. You're the poor, you're rich. So us, as the poor people, are going to stay poor. And the only way that we can move from our social poor class is if somebody throws a bone and we get rich, lottery, chance. It's like the game of life. Like there's actually chance cards you pick up to move on to that level, or you just stuck here with the rest of us.
So basically, what I'm trying to get, well, I'm trying to understand what you're saying is basically like society doesn't have the right to dictate what we are supposed to teach our children and everything like that. But at this point, we have no choice. It's either we follow their rules or we lose our children. Because I know that
Exactly.
if your child doesn't know a certain type of curriculum by a certain age, they get left back. And if your child flunks out of school, your child's taken out of school, that's automatic ACS case, and then they come investigate,
Exactly.
and then they want to take your
Exactly.
child.
And who are these people? Because I've dealt with ACS on a personal level too. Who are a lot of these ACS workers don't even have kids
Mm.
per se.
So
So
do you think now this is a big issue for
yes,
a
yes.
lot of people
No,
because I know at work
I already know what you're gonna say.
because I know
Hell no.
at work
Because
no but
you don't
listen
have a child.
no but see let me tell you at work I have a director and I have an assistant director. My director has 3 children.
Hmm.
She does not it's you find it more common in the workplace for a woman with children to not give women with children any leeway. Like I guess because she's a director, and I guess she feels that she can make it, you should be able to make it too. But my assistant director, who has no children, understands everything. I can tell her my child is sick. I can tell her my child's ill, and she will understand. But a woman with 3 kids doesn't.
But
So, do you think that a woman with no children has a right to tell a woman with children that she can still do what she got to do with her child?
um, that's kind of like a double standard thing, because sometimes you do meet individuals that don't have children, but like you said, they understand very well because they also have mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, and so forth that do have children in their family, so they see it as what's going on in the struggle. And sometimes you have the people that have children and feel that they have to set a certain standard in the business society world. It's like women being in the men's business, they feel that they have to uphold a certain
I get you.
yeah, a
I get you
certain way
because
to
men don't have to go on maternity leave.
exactly.
They don't have to do all
And
that.
a
Yeah.
lot of companies now these days are catering more to the women, where they understand that they need this maternity leave with pay and the extra 2 weeks or 3 weeks that they give them. So a lot of these companies now are recognizing women's rights. But it took till 2015 to actually accomplish these women rights, you know? So it all goes back to the society moving at their own pace and how they want to dictate their leadership. Because if you want to get down to the actual truth, we are all under some kind of dictatorship.
Okay. All right. So this is juice, by the way. Okay. So. Okay, I get that. It's just that. I'm so gonna tie this all together. I am. It's just that I don't these so-called okay, so you said that we live in a good place. No, no. Okay. So all right. So let's break it all back. So now when my son was evaluated for speech therapy, occupational, and all that other good stuff, I was like a little I was a little kind of pet peeve because I'm like, what makes these people experts in um
Well, in that
yeah,
field, in
yeah,
that aspect,
or
you
they're
know
going
what
to sit
makes
there and tell me
what they
after
think makes them expert is
no
all
let
the
me
degrees.
no let me tell you, they're going to sit there and tell me that my son is not where he needs to be by evaluating him for 30 minutes, and I've been raising him since from a baby up until he was 4 years
Exactly,
old. So I know
exactly.
more about him than you do, but you're going to tell me that he's
In
not where he
that
has to
30
be in
minutes.
that 30 minutes.
Mhm.
But I've been raising him, and you
You
can.
know, they got a documentary about that. It's called Making the Killing. Psychotropic drug and shit.
Mhm.
They tell you how all that psychiatric shit is all bullshit.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
There's no way
yeah.
for them to really diagnose it. When they start trying to give you shit, that's when they start. That's when they start fucking with
That's
you.
the experiments that they give you the experimental drugs to find out if this works or if that works.
You're gonna talk to him like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, he needs this.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
now
yeah.
when you give him that, he's fucked up. He's bringing stuff that he played in the beginning.
Yeah, ADHD is the highest diagnosed disorder in
But
children
that
in
goes
America.
back to the genes that the DNA that they're finding that they have no idea what they're used for. Obviously, some of these children are being born with that DNA and it's active in them because it's not active in us.
Yeah.
So they don't know what they do. So when they look at them and they be like, well, oh, the child is very active and this child is that and this child is that, they're going to diagnose it, of course, as a disease because they don't want to come to the American public and be like, well, we have no idea
Mhm.
or we don't know. That you will never see anybody in the United States history come to the public and say, well,
Or
we
just
don't
be
have a clue.
just be brutally honest. You would
They,
never see somebody
no,
coming.
no, because then that would cause a total panic because of that control that they have. Because they don't want the panic to be spread and worldwide. Because then people will start questioning things as well. Because like the questions about vaccinations are starting to pop up every day in day society. And this year the flu, the N1H1 shot
Yeah.
was reported as irrelevant, that they were not conclusive to the virus this season, and it was no need for them to even be given because they weren't working. So why are y'all telling me that my child needs this shot if it is not working?
Now, now that's interesting. I'm tied it all back together to children and and all that type of stuff. There was a woman, I think in my niece's school. My young mother had a discussion on it. I believe it was in my niece's school. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I'm 100% sure. But some woman didn't get her child vaccinated for I think the measles, mumps, and rubella.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, me and my mother had a good little debate, and my mother was like, that's her right as a parent, not
Of
to get her
course.
child. And I said, you're absolutely right, and I'm not taking that right away. My issue with that is you're now harming my child
Exactly.
because you don't want to.
Exactly.
That is your right
There was
not to
a
have.
big discussion
was
on
a-
the View about that.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
only because it's highly contagious.
Exactly.
See, if it wasn't contagious,
I-
then I guess I don't think it would be as big of a deal. But because your child has to act right with mine, it's not fair that
But
you're going to expose
isn't
my
it
child.
kind of funny how
Mhm.
a disease from like the 1930s, don't quote me on that year, but how that back then they didn't have anything to prevent it, and it was world spread, and this was happening.
Smallpox, like
and-
smallpox.
Yeah. But now we found the way to control it, and then now all of a sudden it's just back out.
Eradicated.
So how is it that who
Because-
let it out the laboratory basically? Who dropped this vial and said let's start this back up?
I think what it is our body is more complex than that the doctors and everybody let us.
About.
Yeah. So our body is more, and our DNA and our genes and everything is way more complex than what they're trying to give us credit for.
Mhm.
So what's going on is I think that we have a lot of these viruses in us, and they don't know, just and they don't know how to really combat it. So as far as which, because remember they didn't have the technology in the 1930s, like I said,
Exactly,
don't quote, like they
exactly.
do have now.
Exactly.
Just like HIV, I heard there's a pill that they targeted to the gay men, whereas a pill that you take to prevent you
Well,
from
not
catching
for
HIV.
nothing. Look how long Magic Johnson been fighting
And
since he came out with
me
the
personally, I don't
virus.
think he got HIV. I personally
Since he
believe that.
came out with the virus, his wife doesn't have it,
I
and
personally, know his children do. I personally
exactly.
believe he
So,
doesn't have HIV. That's just
but
me
that to
personally.
me too, I don't think we have it in them. I think it's man-made in a laboratory of these geniuses. Because being a genius is borderline being crazy.
Mhm.
You're out there. You're out of the box. You're beyond what society stimulates as smart.
Mhm.
Because your IQ, which this test, who
Mhm.
came up with this test?
Mhm.
What IQ did you have that you could create such a test to test another person's IQ?
And there's a little boy who is 10 who has I think he's 10, either
I heard about him.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he has an IQ that's higher than Albert Einstein's.
exactly.
And we were talking about how he has a high IQ, but he's gonna be so socially awkward. He's not gonna know how to interact with his peers.
Of
Now,
course not.
now we're gonna get right back. We want to tie it back together. Now we're talking about children who are below their peers, who are not the same level as their peers. They're actually behind, but they're socially accepted into with their peers. They don't have really too much things. But now when you exceed your peers and you're
You're not
smarter,
accepted.
now you're not accepted.
But
So it's
that
like
goes back
it's
to
either
the
you
society things about our neighbors and how we interact with the people around us. Because we're such in this stereotype world that this is this and that is that of the lower class, and this is how you're supposed to be. They put you back into that category.
to that box. Everybody has a box,
Exactly.
and everybody has to fit
Exactly.
neatly into that box.
Exactly.
If you don't fit neatly into that box, then there's something wrong.
Exactly. You cannot pass go, cannot collect $200. You cannot move on to the next box.
Yeah.
Because your box is designed for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of I like a lot of sci-fi. And there's a lot of movies that are actually based on what we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this one that came out. It's called The Lottery. How at a certain time frame in our future that women stop having babies, and there were only 6 kids that were 6 families that had the ages of 4-year-old children, and those were the youngest children in the whole world.
Mm.
Because somebody in a laboratory came up with something that wasn't supposed to get out, but somehow it got out, and then all the women in the world became
Sterile.
The whole world.
And that's that's the end of that's the end of the population.
And the population right there. And then they held this lottery because the scientists found a way to impregnate 100 women. Just 100 women. By donating eggs from everybody around the world. And you would think that they would give the eggs back to the women that donated the eggs.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. They held a lottery. And then they killed, because one of the scientists thought, well, maybe we should give it to one of the women that donated the egg. She reached out to the lady, and they killed the lady because they didn't want the conspiracy of how the sterile that happened in the first place.
How did that happen?
A scientist was making in a lab, making some new stuff.
So basically, just to bring it back, a lot of diseases and a lot of reasons why our children are the way they are, why we are the way they are,
Exactly.
because science and technology is going so far. There's only so much further that technology can take us by. And in the next 10 years, I swear robots are going to rule us all.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's because they're making them smarter.
Smarter phone. There should be no reason why a BlackBerry knows more about your life than you do. Why a BlackBerry should know your entire schedule, your entire life, and everything than you do. That doesn't make any sense.
But I don't know if you realize this. The fact that we use smartphones now, you can't remember more than 1 or 2 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Phone numbers. Before when you had
knew
house phones,
you knew everybody's number. Yes, I can tell you everybody in this house number that I knew.
Exactly.
I knew everybody's number.
Exactly.
But now that I got a cell phone, I don't have to know
not even
numbers
just a
no more.
cell phone, a smartphone. Because everything is so smart.
And my thing is, if I lose my contacts in my phone, I can always go to the
backed
computer
up
and
in
back
the
it up.
computer. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and that takes that level of brain, because we only use so much of our brain in the first place. So what happens when we stop using that part?
Yeah, and they said that the little boy, just to bring it back to the little boy,
Hmm.
they said he's only using like 1% more of his brain than we are. But let's bring it back now. Now with all this technology, parents
Hmm.
are now relying on
Yes,
computers
yes, to
and
teach their
cell phones to teach
children.
the children so that the interaction between the parents. So how
Exactly.
is that?
First of all, a lot of this technology, the TV, the computers, the smartphones, are actually raising the children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because a lot of children are having children, and the children that are having children are letting the children being raised by the technology, and and that just
It's just
eliminates,
a cycle.
yeah, exactly, a chain that's never ending and never breaking, and that's somebody stepping out the box that's not going to be accepted. Now more about this group because they're not following their rules.
Mm.
So it only takes one or two, but then that one or two becomes outcasts or non-sociable. Like they just stay away from them. They're blacklisted.
Mm.
Look at Monique. What really happened to her in the Globe and all that stuff that when she did Precious.
Mm.
After she did Precious, it's like her career just took a nosedive, and it was the end for her because she didn't fit into what categories they wanted her to fit into anymore.
Just another example with purchases on Empire. I don't know if everybody watches that, but this
Yes, she is.
Empire,
Yes.
they're trying to now take her off of Empire because she's too big and they don't know how to really.
Cast her,
Mm-hmm.
and they're slim. Everybody has a nice body, because she's the only full figure woman on the show.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's fit.
Everybody is fit.
Even Reva Simone, who used to be a big woman.
Exactly. Everybody is fit into the size 2, and she is not fitting into the size 2. So now, what do we do with you? Because that's not the image we're trying to portray. And Empire is it's a good entertaining show, but it's also dangerous because now it's also dictating another aspect of society of certain things.
Mm-hmm. Like,
Okay, the son is gay, the mother accepts him, but the father doesn't.
but ironically, that's like every day.
Exactly, it's like every day, and being that we're having this example portrayed on TV now, we're giving the kids a guideline to how to interact with this.
Mm.
Instead of us as parents helping them to deal with such emotions and experience in their lives, the TV is giving them a whole run and play by play
But
of what to
parents are
do.
most likely in charge of what their children are to watch.
You're
And
exactly
you know
right.
the Empire is not a children's show.
It's not.
So
That's why it comes on at 9 o'clock because most children are supposed to be in bed at 9 o'clock. But a lot, like we go back to children raising children, children that are raising children don't look at their children as parents. They're looking at their children as friends.
mm,
So you cross that invisible line of parenting and friendship, and now you and your 9, 10, 11 year old are sitting there watching a show that they might have questions, but they're not going to come to you with their questions. That's the thing that gets blurry too. They don't come to them anymore with their questions. They're gonna go to their peers. Oh, did you watch Empire last night? And now here their peers go all discussing it.
now just to bring it back. Now now you said that the children raise the children. So like you said, I interviewed one about the birth defects and stuff like that. Teenage mothers. Now I know personally when my sister's a teenage mom. She had my niece at 16, 17. When my mom took her to the doctor, the doctor gave her the nastiest attitude, and she was just downright rude because she couldn't understand why my sister was pregnant and succeeded. While my mom is sitting
Exactly.
there all calm, cool, and collected. Now, now I know that you said that they are children raising children, but could that be a factor into why the children are the way they are in society, as far as children acting like they don't have no home training,
Of
children falling
course it
behind
is.
in school?
Of course it is because that child that just now produced the child didn't finish its own childhood.
Mm.
So that child that just had a child at a young age cut their childhood in half. Because some of them, don't get me wrong, some of them are good parents,
Mm.
but then you have some of them that don't want to be parents, and they have the help and support of their family, but they don't give them the support in the right way because they're just taking away their responsibilities and letting them run free to do more and more damaging things to themselves instead of making them take responsibility for this life they was created now. You know, they only want to take the child when it fits in their schedule or it's nice for their image or they want to dress it up like a baby doll and they don't want to do the everyday um work that
Mm.
goes into parenting.
Yeah.
And now they put it on grandma, auntie, and this, that, and the third. And don't get me wrong, some of them actually take that time to better themselves, but
Mm.
some of them don't. And we have more and more that are not doing than the percent that are doing what they're supposed to do. And these are the kids that are, getting shot, getting in trouble, ending up on World Star.
Mhm.
Because when we were growing up, we had phones, but we weren't filming everything. Our phones were using to call our parents, or it was an emergency. That's even if you had a phone, if you were lucky enough to get a phone. Because then
Yeah.
a lot of us didn't have phones. A lot
So
of us had house phones. You had to wait home, go home, use the phone.
so now that we're on that subject, nowadays parents it's a big debate in the school as to whether your child should have a cell phone in school. Now there's some parents saying, my child needs to have a cell phone in school because of Sandy Hook. You see what happened if all the children died. Now they need to have a cell phone to contact their parents just in case something happens. But another set of parents is saying that it's a distraction. So I know my thoughts is, um, as fortunate as it is, what is my child calling? How, what is my child calling me gonna do if they're in school and something happens?
But
The most
that
I could do.
also goes back to the different societies because I don't know how you feel about it, but 9 times out of 10, our child is not going to call us about anything that happened in Sandy, like Sandy. That just does not happen in our society. If it does happen, it doesn't happen as a massive scale as it did there.
So
If it
basically, not like the city area, more like the rural area, stuff like that. It
exactly,
happened up there.
yeah, because
Okay.
it has happened, but you'll hear about one or two children getting hurt in.
So is it a race thing or is it a is it are you saying it's a race thing or are you saying that it's like a
I think it's more of a defense thing. Like it is kind of a race thing because our race is more defensive against certain things. Like you see, if we're working in a school and we see somebody that we know has no business being there, everybody is going to be on alert. Everybody's going to know who you. We have a bunch of children here. We want to know where we're going. You take out a gun and start shooting. Okay, a few of us are going to take the chance to get shot to knock you out than to let you get past us and go shoot about 10, 15 children.
yeah, we're thinking like 20 kids that died
Exactly. Because at that time, I don't even understood how he came in and
with
got
an
past the
assault
security guard
with an assault
and
rifle.
with the assault rifle out. So you saw this man come in with the gun and y'all just froze? Like, I really don't get it. But it all goes back to defense and response time in society. We see somebody coming down the street with a gun, we're not gonna, stand there to see what's gonna happen.
Hmm.
We're gonna go into reaction, especially if we have our children with us.
I do know, I'm not going to tie it all together. I do know that they said that he has a history of mental issues, and he actually went there to kill his mom, who actually works there, who actually knows he has mental issues,
But
who
at
actually
the
kept
same
guns in the house.
time, she wasn't there.
She was at school.
No, she wasn't at the school. He
I thought
killed her already at the house.
Oh,
He killed her at the house already. So
oh, okay.
she didn't come to school. So y'all know this is such and such son. Your mother's not here. Mom's not here. Or like you're gonna address this person, especially he's coming in here with a gun. You don't. Somebody's here with a gun. You're not gonna let him go any further. Like some of us are gonna get shot because you're not gonna kill my child. I'm sorry. I don't think that whole and now they have in them areas though. Now they have training for the kids and the teachers for this sort of thing happening.
So it doesn't happen in metropolitan cities. It happens in suburbia, basically.
Exactly. But like I said, we have had. Don't get me wrong. We have
No, no,
had incidents.
I know, but it wasn't as on a massive scale as the
Exactly.
out of state and the rural quiet
Exactly.
areas. Because I think the issue with that is they're not equipped to handle stuff like that because they're not used to stuff like that. Say in
Exactly. They're
metropolitan
not used to
areas.
being defensive.
So just to bring it back, well, we talked about how the children and how children raising children and everything.
Hmm.
So basically, just to tie it all together, basically society dictates how we raise our children. No matter how you put it, no matter what you say,
Exactly.
you can say that you want your child to be a doctor, but society says that your child is not smart enough to be a doctor, so your child has to be a nurse.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you can say what you
But
want.
we don't get it wrong. We have had incidents where children have succeeded to what they want to be because that goes back to the parenting. Because if that child really wants to be a doctor
Mhm,
and it has it in them to be a doctor,
mhm,
nobody in this world is going to stop that child from being a doctor,
mhm.
no matter what. I've seen like um children that does want to go far, parents will sell their lives, the shirt off their back to
Yeah,
get that child
to
to achieve
the
what
college.
that
Yeah,
child
I get
exactly,
that.
exactly.
But
So
that's well, I'm gonna take it like this. In a democratic society, in a society where you want the illusion, as you said, of free will, are you going to hold everybody back, or are you going to let some people go? So there's an illusion of hope and something to
exactly,
achieve to.
exactly,
So just back to
exactly.
just this is my personal opinion. I just think that society basically dictates how we live our lives.
Mhm.
Because I can say, if this man touched my child, I'm going to kill him. But society says, no, I can't do that. I have to call the cops first, and then I can't touch him. I have to let him keep doing what he's doing to my child until help arrives.
It also is double standards in certain situations because in Florida, you see how that whole Trayvon Martin thing, they had to stand their ground law
Hmm.
and this, that, and the third. So now you have this young man dead, and you have about 6, 7 different accounts that he didn't got arrested for since he been dead. So who's the real criminal? Who's the real thug, as they put it?
Hmm.
The real bad guy.
All right. So just to bring it back into perspective, um, our children do have impacts on society,
Hmm.
but it's based on their upbringing.
Exactly.
I mean, if you raise a child in the crack house,
More than likely, they're gonna come out to smoke crack or sell crack.
that's all they know.
Exactly.
But if you raise and then but there's always a double sword to that because just because you raise a child in a loving two-family home does not mean that your
Exactly. They can
child is
come
going to
out a
come up.
social murderer, a
So
serial killer. So
so just to wrap it up, as I said, society plays a big part in parenting and how we raise our child. But hopefully, as a people, and I say as Black people, hopefully we'll open our eyes and we'll start to initiate the
break the
change.
chain,
Yes, just break it
break the cycle,
and just people,
better ourselves.
yes, and people that do get the knowledge and know the knowledge will try to implement it in their lives and try to get their child to implement it in their lives and just pass it on and just pass it on so
Hmm.
that the cycle and each generation gets stronger and
Exactly.
smarter and
That's all we can do.
yes. So that's my interview number 2. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Now, all right. I'm oh, I'm gonna stop.